All right, let's just make sure we are live everywhere. Be ready to start. All right, I think I am live everywhere. You see me? All right, sweet. Hey, everybody, it's Dr. Brooke Goldner from Goodbye Lupus, and I'm here for my Wellness Wednesday. It's where I give back to try to help as many of you as I can from anywhere in the world who are looking for some help with living a better life, better health, more happiness, anything I can do to try to help you out. I do need to remind you, of course, this can't substitute for medical advice. I can't see you. I can't be your doctor from across the camera. So make sure that you are checking with your doctor before you take any advice. I could change your health, but I will speak the best I can in general terms. And of course, if I don't have an answer, I will always tell you I don't know. But I'm here to help you as much as possible. So let me see. I think one of the topics that I've seen a lot this week that I thought I could help you with. First of all, I hope you checked out the video that I did on Friday. So on Friday, I posted a video about the effect of ultra-processed foods according to 2 new studies. Have you guys seen that? Let me see in the comments. You guys see that? It is actually worse than we thought, which I think what was shocking or at least surprising about those studies was, number one, just how bad even one serving of processed food a day was. They found that 10% of your calories caused an increase of early death of 20%, an increase of anxiety of 53%, an increase in dying from heart disease of 50%, and 2 servings, 20% of the calories, caused an increase of dementia of almost 30%. So that alone, just how bad it was, that was surprising. Number 2 was how little it took, because the average American or person from the UK or Canadian has around 50% of their diet from those items. 50%. So how much worse off are we than those folks who are only having 10% of their diet? So I think that was one thing that was very surprising. I mean, obviously, I teach you that those items are unhealthy and they can hold you back from your healing and you need to get rid of them. But I think this is one of the first studies I've seen which really measured in a lot of people. The study that showed early death, heart disease, and anxiety was 10 million people. It was a meta-analysis of 10 million people. And the one on cognitive function and anxiety, I'm sorry, not anxiety, but cognitive function dementia was on 10,000 people in Brazil. So these were big numbers. So I think that was one thing, was just how bad it is and how little it takes. And the fact that most Americans and people in the UK and Canada eat 5 times that amount, right? The other thing was the way they did the classification. So what they called ultra-processed was often what people eat when they think they're eating healthy. So cereals, protein bars, canned soups. So it wasn't just candy, right? But all of those other things, frozen meats and vegetables, often they have oil added, anything that had added oil, added sugar, any preservatives, any other, anything that extended the shelf life. So I think that was also something that's really important. And I'm going to be on the news this Friday live, and I'm going to be talking about that with them, that it's really important to understand that it's not just when people think of junk food that they think of chips and candy, but that it's stuff that people often eat when they think they're being healthy. And it's very, very, very important, people. So make sure you watch that video. And the other is, I think, especially for people that I see that are trying to eat healthy, they often believe that they are eating, they'll say, I'm plant-based, I'm hyper-nourishing. But then when I look at their diets, it's a lot of processed stuff and ultra-processed stuff. And so when they're stuck on their results and they'll say, hey, I'm hyper-nourishing and I'm eating plant-based, why do I still have pain, or why is my energy not still there? And I go through their diets. Anyone who does a wellness appointment with me, I go through your whole history, the emotional stuff that gets in your way, and I also go through everything that you eat. And for a lot of folks, first of all, they're not even hyper-nourishing. I met someone this morning who has 5 ounces of greens in her smoothie and drinks half of it to 3/4 of it a day, 3 days a week. And sometimes she uses spring mix instead of spinach. So she's actually malnourished still, but thought that she was nourished, right? So sometimes that's the case. But also what I see is people are eating vegan items, meaning there's no animal products, but they're not healthy. When back when I first gave up animal products completely, that meant that you were healthier, because we didn't have vegan mayo We didn't have vegan cheese. There was, the vegan meats were awful. So you were just by default healthier if you didn't eat animal products. But nowadays you can live on a processed diet. And sometimes when people ask me questions like, why is it that so-and-so who's a vegan got cancer when it's supposed to be a diet that lowers your risk of cancer because you're not eating meat and you're not eating dairy, right? We're not eating the stuff that we know is pro-cancer. Well, then where's that coming from? Well, they're not always eating healthy. So you can nowadays have an unhealthy vegan diet. Now, there's been other studies. There was a recent study that I talked about, actually, another study that I talked about on my YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, that to help you with that, the twin study. Netflix actually did a documentary on it at the same time they were going through it, which was a brilliant idea. And they found that if they put two twins on healthier diets, one on more of like a paleo type diet, where they're eating lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, but also leaner cuts of meat, and the other one's completely on a plant-based diet, that with the same genetics, all of the twins that were on the plant-based diet had a dramatic change in their blood markers, their weight, and those folks were still eating some vegan meats, which is processed. So that did show that at least if with everything else the same, eating the vegan processed meat was still better for them than eating the regular meat. So, okay, that's good news, but it's still not a health food, right? That's important. The other thing that I thought was important, so make sure you watch, I have much more details in the video and links to the studies for those of you who love to share studies. The other thing that I thought was really important was the one on cognitive decline had some great data in it. And one of the things that they showed was, yes, if you have 20% of your calories a day coming from processed foods, that you're raising your risk of dementia by 28%, almost 30%. But the one exception was if you ate mostly, the people who ate mostly fresh fruits and vegetables and whole grains, who only had some processed items as well, did not have the damage to their brain function. They did not show the correlation with dementia anymore. So that shows, at least in that one area, they didn't look at that in the other studies, but that showed at least in that one area that making sure that the majority of your food comes from fresh whole plant foods can actually prevent the damage that comes from eating the ultra processed. And haven't I taught you that, right? That hypernourishment should be your way of life. At first, you're doing this to get healthy, but once you get healthy, you do it to stay healthy. So for me, being lupus free for almost 19 years, I still have my smoothies every day. I still drink all my water. I still have my salads, in addition to eating other cooked plant-based foods and some ultra processed items. Sometimes I do have that sometimes. I might go to a restaurant and eat something with oil or sugar that's vegan but not healthy, but I've been able to maintain excellent health all this time doing that, right? So getting healthy, get it all out. But remaining healthy, it seems like we could tolerate some of it if the majority of what we eat is coming from good stuff. But the thing I wanted to bring your attention to today was make sure you're being honest with yourself on how much good stuff you're truly getting. Because like I said, a lot of folks I talk to, they come in telling me that I am hyper-nourishing, plant-based, but the reality is they're eating a lot of processed, they're under-eating the nourishing stuff, and that's not going to work while you're trying to get your health back. You want to be really clean and eat really healthfully as possible while you're trying to get your health back. So very much like the example I've given before, that if you sprain your ankle and it is swollen and fragile, then even if you ice it and elevate it all day, if you just stand up and do one jumping jack on it once a day, you're going to undo all the healing of the day, and you're going to sit back down and ice and elevate it. And then a month from now, you're going to say, oh my gosh, my ankle will never heal. What's wrong with me? What's wrong? Well, it's been trying to heal every single day, and it would have been healed after only a few days if you were doing a hyper-nourishing plant-based diet. But because you kept jumping on it once a day, it kept re-injuring itself and re-injuring itself, and it never got to fully recover. Or the other examples like scratching off the scab, right? Once your ankle's fully recovered, you can run and jump and play, no problem, right? So that's the goal, is be strict, get yourself to the health you want. Don't underestimate how much of the junk you're really having. And when you're healthy, yes, you can have it once in a while, but that to me is like 1 or 2 items a week, not 1 or 2 items a day, which is what they were actually studying in those studies. So very interesting stuff. And I'm really, I'm always excited when I can bring more good information to news sources. That is one of the best ways to help people get well, right? Is to use our voices to talk about what makes a difference in people's lives. And for me, the greatest gift I've gotten was getting my health back. And so it's always a great honor and pleasure for me to be able to spread that information and help others as well. So that's why I'm here with you all right now, right? So take that information, think about what you're doing, make sure you're being honest with yourself, and get your health back. All right, let's look at what's going on over here. So we've got the Instagram feed going, we got the YouTube, Facebook feed going. Okay, so let me see. Bessie, you're first. You're first, Bessie. All right, Bessie wants to know, when you step down from the Goodbye Lupus protocol, what foods can you add and what order? Okay, well, that is a different question, and it's a good question. All right, so if you're ready for step down, remember, first of all, that you only do step down when you've gotten your results, right? So sometimes people want to do the protocol just for a certain number of days, right? Like, I'm going to do it for this many days, and then I'm stepping down. You want to do it until you're fully recovered, okay? Very, very important. I remember seeing a doctor who came to me and said, I was doing this on my own, and I was 80% better, 80. I was 80% better. I was feeling really good. I had minimal pain. And then I went back and added all this other stuff, and now my pain's back. And I said, well, first of all, why did you add anything if you were 80% better? Why didn't you go to 100%? And she said, oh my gosh, weeks. And then I just stopped. So I said, would you do that with one of your patients? If they were 80% better on a medication, would you stop? Or would you keep going till they were fully recovered? And she said, I don't know. I didn't even think of it. So, hey, you know, it happens to everyone. So just make sure, number one, that you're thinking about step down, because I don't have any issues anymore, right? You want to get to that 100% where I feel great, and I'm ready to do other things. Now, in terms of what to do next, there's no one way in terms of which food to add first. The rules are, number one, nothing inflammatory. I recommend, if you use nutrition to reverse your symptoms and feel healthy, then do not add something that can undo it, right? I was just talking about that. Do not jump on a healing ankle that had a sprain, right? So you don't add anything inflammatory, no junk food, no added extra oils besides flax oil, right? So it would be something that's unprocessed, plant related. So what some people tend to do, some people really, really love the energy of being raw. So they stay raw and they just take all the limitations off. You know, they eat as much fruit as they want. They start out by trying a different kind of nut or seed, right? So maybe you try a handful of almonds a day. And if you eat a handful of almonds a day with everything else the same and you still feel fantastic, now you got that. Then maybe later you might try something else, right? So that's one thing people do. And other folks really want to add back cooked food, not because it adds to their health. It doesn't. There's no additional health you're getting. It's actually a subtraction. But sometimes they have other goals. One, comfort, ease. You know, maybe they're going to try to do bodybuilding and force some weight gain in. Make sure you do the exercise so it's muscle gain and not fat gain for the majority of what you put on, right? But maybe they have other goals and they want to add other foods. Then you choose. Some people are going to start with tofu. And again, you give it some time. So I recommend a minimum of 3 days with any new addition, maybe some quinoa, something like that. So take it easy. Like I said, the first goal is you achieve the health you want. And when you do, you better have a party. Celebrate it like crazy. And, you know, make sure you have locked it in. Make sure you've gone another week at least and go, yeah, no relapse. I feel really good. Then you can work on adding one step at a time of adding things back. And if something goes wrong, if you add something and you don't feel good, you feel like, ooh, I'm getting some symptoms, take it out. And if it goes away on its own in the next couple of days, just keep going. If you take it out and you still feel it, go back to the full protocol till it's gone, and then do step down again, but take that out. Listen, you didn't get sick in a day. You don't want to go through all the step down in a day. Take your time and enjoy how good your health is, and your diet will diversify, and you'll be able to maintain it. So I hope that helped. Let's see. All right. So Patricia wants to know, can you eat ashwagandha, sea moss, garlic, alfalfa with lupus? So I have never personally tested the effects, both positive or negative, of ashwagandha or sea moss. So I have no comment on that. I don't like to make things up. If I haven't tested it, if I haven't seen results in it, then I can't tell you if it's good or bad. I can say I've never needed it in order to help people get well. That's never been like, oh my God, you're missing sea moss. That's never been the case. But if you take it and you feel better, that's wonderful. But I have no comment. I don't know. garlic and alfalfa, I have not seen a problem. I know there's so much misinformation or incomplete information about what you need for health. I mean, I remember hearing about nightshades back when I still had lupus and active lupus, and it never made any sense to me. Like it didn't seem to make a difference. Take it, not take it, right? And my own doctor said, no big deal. But of course, doctors don't necessarily know about nutrition unless they've taken their time to study it and work with it as I have. But even through the process of my recovery, I have never had to take out nightshades. I've always eaten tomatoes are one of my favorite things. So I've always eaten lots of tomatoes. I've never had a problem. I don't know that I've ever in my life gone a day without garlic, ever. That's not even hyperbole. I think I've actually never gone a day in my life without garlic. So when it comes to plant foods, mostly you're going to find they're just beneficial. If you notice that you have a sensitivity, then make a change. There are some people who are sensitive where they react to tomatoes or they might react to garlic. If that's the case, then take it out. If you think you're having a food sensitivity, take out anything, especially anything abnormal, unusual that you haven't had before, and see if that goes away, and then retest it, and then you'll know. Like, you don't need to eat any of those things. So if you feel better without them, take them out. And oftentimes what I find is people who have food sensitivities, when their autoimmune disease gets better, the food sensitivities get better too. So I have seen people who have had food sensitivities and food allergies who no longer had those allergies or sensitivities anymore once they got healthy. So that's been really good as well. Now, if you have a food allergy and your throat closes down, please don't just test that. Make sure you talk to your doctor. If you need your EpiPen, all that stuff, please don't take risks with your health. But we have seen that. We had that happen with a neighbor by accident. She'd been allergic to guacamole or avocados her whole life, and she accidentally ate avocado after following our plan from across the street. And she had no reaction. And she was like, how? So on the one hand, I was really glad because that was scary, where she's like, is there avocado in this? And we're like, what? No, what? Right? But she was okay. So we have seen that with many different types of allergies. But I don't recommend that you run and, eat things you're allergic to. But most people, it's not a food allergy, but just, I don't feel as good when I eat this, or I find that my joints bother me more, but that issue tends to go away when they get healthy. The inflammatory immune system is responsible for both allergy and for the other inflammatory responses like infections as well as autoimmune diseases. So a lot of those things kind of all come together. All right, let's see here. All right, let me look down and see if we can get some Facebook. Congratulations, Latanya. Said, oh, I finally caught alive. All right, let's see. All right, here we go. Let's find a Facebook. All right, here we go. So Nasheen says, by eating broccoli, I have bad bloating and gas, but not by smoothie and cabbage. I'm eating a whole flower of broccoli per day. Is this the reason? Well, when it comes to choosing which high nutrient vegetables to eat, choose the ones that you feel the best on, right? Everybody's got different stuff going on in their gut because your gut's been with you your whole life. And sometimes you've damaged it, whether it's from excessive antibiotics, eating meat, not eating fiber. Our guts all have to get with the program. And for a lot of folks, that's the hardest part, right? So if eating smoothies doesn't make you bloated and eating broccoli does, then just take the broccoli out and stick with the smoothie and cabbage, because those are cruciferous too. So I would just stick with the ones that feel more comfortable. As long as you can get high nutrient vegetables in that cruciferous, then you're good. So just pick the one that works the best for you. All right. All right. Okay. Connie says, I'm 4 years post open heart surgery. Wow. I'm trying the smoothies. I'm experiencing extreme fatigue. Is this okay for me to try? Okay. So first of all, I'm glad that you are with us. Needing open heart surgery is a very serious thing. Second, you need to go to a doctor to find out what the fatigue is about, right? So for most people, I can say I have worked with people with heart disease, heart failure, heart attacks, and even arrhythmias who have done wonderfully and gotten healthy and reversed their symptoms using our program. So it is heart healthy. However, if you have heart failure, if you have edema, if your sodium levels are dropping, there could be other things going on. So not everybody can tolerate all the nutrition that will cause the fastest recovery. So I would want you to get seen by a doctor to make sure. Listen, if you're feeling great, that's different. That's wonderful. But you do need to see your doctor about this, okay? And get your lab test run. Maybe it's that you're having too much water and not enough sodium, and so you're tired because your sodium levels dropped. I'm not sure what the answer is. And again, I can't act as your doctor through the video. So all I can do is say, if you're not feeling well, please do see a doctor and rule out that there's anything else going on. There are some folks where they go through a period where they just have what most people call detox, where the first week or two they feel like flu-like and tired because their body's starting to go into recovery mode, and then they feel amazing. But especially for those of you who aren't working with me, where I can't watch what you're doing and oversee it, see if you're doing it right, see what else is going on, there's no way for me to know the answer to that. So the safest thing you can do is go to your doctor, get your labs tested. And if everything looks great and they're like, yeah, you're fine, you can eat what you want, then you at least have that. They're backing to go ahead versus trying to figure it out in a situation like this where I can't see you. So, all right, let's see. All right, and another Facebook one. Does this help with MCAS? My food choices are limited. I feel hopeless post-nasal trip, back of the throat inflammation after eating certain foods, eczema during hypernutrition for 2 months. That is a really, really difficult illness to deal with. There's a big rise in it after COVID, where it's just people are just building up more and more allergies. And it's kind of like what I was talking about before, right? That your inflammatory immune system got amped up and now it's doing weird stuff and it's making me have allergies to things that I shouldn't. And so it can be really difficult. I can say that we've had people with MCAS do our program successfully. You do want to stick with only the foods that don't trigger you though. So like using chia instead of flax, or like filtered flax oil, using only low histamine choices of foods, and really just making sure that you don't have reactions to it. It's hard for us to always predict in advance what people are going to react to, right? Even if it's something that should be safe, sometimes you still have a reaction, because sometimes it's not just histamine. Sometimes it's just you're reacting to many different things because your immune system is not functioning properly. So, but if you want to know if people have done it, yes, absolutely they have. Absolutely they have. So, all right, let me see here. Let's go over to Instagram. Hi, Instagram. Let's see here. All right. So on Instagram, Jen Chirino says, can this help remove glaucoma or papilledema? So we actually have had great results with people with glaucoma. We've had people do my rapid recovery group for glaucoma and reversed it. The very first person who did it, she was already blind in one eye and the other eye was losing vision. And the blind eye, she had had surgery on and it didn't work. So this was a last ditch effort for her. And she did the rapid recovery group. And not only did her new eye that was starting to suffer get better, she started to be able to see shapes again in the eye that had been blind. So that was our first time having someone with glaucoma in the group. And it was absolutely incredible. We've had others since then who have had amazing results. One of them made a video, Bernard. You can see Bernard, he's in his 70s. You can find him on YouTube or Facebook, Instagram. And he came to me in my rapid recovery group in his 70s for glaucoma and diabetes. And not only did it get his blood sugar under control, he went from not doing much to like hiking every day. It was amazing. And his glaucoma reversed. In 5 weeks, he went to a follow-up with his doctor and they told him that his glaucoma had gone away and he didn't need surgery. He was absolutely blown away. And yet, in spite of all of those results, if you look at that video, he said the best part of the group, besides all of that, was for the first time in his life, he was happy. Because that's one of the things I teach in rapid recovery is the path to happiness and how to embrace your own hope, your own power, your own, affect your own thoughts, create real boundaries and work on your own happiness. And if there's one thing that I can give all of you guys, it's such an important thing that, none of us know how much time we have on this earth, right? You could be doing everything you can to be healthy. And look what happened in Maryland. A boat lost power and hit a bridge and people fell in. We don't know what's going to happen. And so we can't control all of those things. And that's why anxiety doesn't work, is most of the things people are afraid of never actually happen. And the things that happen are things you never could have thought of. I know this personally from what I've gone through in my own life. The worst things that have happened to me, I never could have dreamed up. So the one thing we have in our control is our own focus of where we put our thoughts and our happiness, right? That we can say, you know what, today I might have this pain, I might have this vision problem, I might have this, I might have that, but boy, is it a gift to wake up every day. Boy, is it a gift to be here. Use the gift, embrace the gift. It's such an important thing. And I think it's, if I can give you guys something, let it be that you don't forget that part. And that's one of the biggest things that I do with people when I work with them daily, is to teach them that. Because listen, happiness makes being alive worthwhile. No matter how you feel everywhere else, if you can be happy, it's a good day. But happiness also accelerates healing. So of course, it's an important thing to work on when I'm doing rapid recovery with people, but even right here in your life, sometimes people get so focused on trying to get everything back in their health that they feel stressed and miserable. And if you can just allow yourself to be glad to be here. That's how I've always felt. I just did a talk in Indianapolis, and I was thanking them for having me there. And I said, I'm really glad to be here. And I said, I'm actually really glad to be anywhere. And it just kind of came out of me, but it was like, I am like, it's still amazing to me sometimes that I've been beating the odds for over 30 years. And it's extraordinary to be able to give that gift back to people. And I want you all to be well, but I don't want you to forget to be happy. And you can be happy even with illness, and you can be miserable without it. So don't forget that part too. I know I took a tangent, but that's what you get with me. Sometimes you get a tangent. All right. But if you wanted to look him up, Bernard, you can look him up. Bernard is awesome. Let's see. Okay. That's not a question. Ruqayya HB wants to know, is it possible to get an earlier date than August 27th for an appointment? So I do apologize that my schedule is pretty booked. I can say with pride that it's still faster to see me than most rheumatologists. And the reason is because my clients get better. And rheumatologists and other doctors, often they're just adding patients over time. So, hey, it's better than many doctors. But I know I have a very booked schedule. The only other option, so to see me sooner, there is an option for a rush appointment. If you get a rush add-on, I add more time to my schedule, but even those spots get used up right now. Rush appointments like within 10 to 12 weeks. Sometimes you get lucky and I had a cancellation, I can stick you in, but I still have to limit those because I have to spend time with my family, and that's important to me too. So I do have some boundaries around that, but that is one thing you can do, is move it up with a rush add-on. Also, our next 6-week rapid recovery group is May 10th, which I think is actually the fastest. Yeah, that's the fastest way to work with us. Also, my husband Thomas does appointments. So if you want to work with him, people love him. He was the one who fixed me back in the day. And you can see him much faster. He has appointments often that you can get to within a week or so. He does have, there's some limits to it, but he's generally more available, and his effectiveness is amazing. He actually does a group with me. So that's another thing you can do. So those are options. Those are all the options, Ruqayya, on ways to see me faster. And Rhonda wanted to know, how do I make an appointment? So if you go to, so Rhonda, you're on Instagram. So if you click the link in my profile, it shows you all my resources. I have a lot of free resources, recipes. I have books that are lower cost, things you can do. And then there's also, of course, if you want to get me to yourself, then that's goodbyelupus.com. But there's a link there for appointments. Someone said that to me yesterday. That was so funny. She goes, it's like my own private wellness Wednesday on a Tuesday. Hi, Sonia. Okay. Hi, Reneris. I'm glad you're here. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that, Miranda. So Miranda just said, Dr. G, you were right. My lupus pregnancy doctor said that nutrition, lifestyle, lupus meds, and mindset to get well. So it's always nice when your doctor's on board. And it is changing. I do have to say, back when I first started teaching this, there was a lot of pushback at first from people, even from my own story. But, I still get it now very rarely. mostly because other people will comment and be like, no, she saved me. She saved my husband. She saved my father. She saved my kid. So I don't really have much to push back on. But, you know, initially when I first started to talk about this, people were like, no way, that's just not possible. You can't get better from lupus. You can't heal. You can't be lupus free, right? All that stuff. Flash forward now, a large percentage of my clients are doctors and nurses and pharmaceutical salespeople, and also a couple of pharmaceutical researchers who help make and test the medications. They come to me for help, and what they've all told me is that they can tell that I'm someone who knows the science, and that's how they can trust what I'm doing. Whereas a lot of times, you know, someone's kind of an influencer, but they're not really a scientist. They don't really understand, and they might even be repeating canned things they've read or heard, and it's not as convincing, right? But the cool thing is it is changing, and doctors are learning either because they're getting sick and they're working on their own health, or because they are watching the documentaries on Netflix, and then they are going to read the articles about it, and they're learning and growing in their practice as well. So I'm really happy. I'm really happy that your doctor said that, because I can tell you 30 years ago when I saw my doctor, he said pizza is the perfect food because it has all the food groups. So I'm very happy to hear that you have a pregnancy doctor who's telling you that you need to work on your nutrition and your exercise and all that stuff. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It makes my heart happy. So, all right, let's go back to some YouTube questions. All right. Quick PR wants to know, do any of the protocols help with ADHD? So yes, actually. So ADHD has been on the rise with the worsening of the Western diet, just like other illnesses and issues have been. So there's different levels of ADHD. It can be worsened by other things like trauma. You combine trauma and ADHD. You can have, so it's a complex thing. Okay. It's not like do this and it goes away. But have people with ADHD gotten better using nutrition protocols? Yes, I've definitely seen that. There were studies done a while ago. I'm trying to think. This was during my residency. I remember we had a speaker come, and I remember it so clearly because I was fascinated. And afterwards, my attendings and fellow residents were all making fun of this guy because he was talking about research that showed that omega-3 fatty acids can work in people with mood disorders, like as a mood stabilizer, and improve attention and ADHD. And I thought that was so cool. I was excited to talk about it with my fellow residents and attendings, and all they wanted to do was mock him. And well, that was the state of medicine back then. So that's definitely, so there have been some studies, they're sparse, but they have been. In my own work, I have seen that a lot. What I've seen is that, I mean, it makes sense that whatever you eat is going to affect the functioning of your brain as much as the functioning of the rest of your body. And so for a lot of folks, they are malnourished, they're dehydrated, and they're eating a lot of ultra-processed garbage. And so their brain doesn't function properly. I mean, when you look at the study that was done that I was just talking about earlier, the one that was looking at dementia, they also were looking at how executive function works. So basically your ability to remember and do a task in the moment. And when you eat processed foods. And what they found is after serving of processed foods, there was a measurable decrease in their executive function right there in the moment. So that was really powerful. Now think about, you know, someone with ADHD, that is something that's really important for you, right? Is to be able to focus and be able to accomplish tasks. So if you're eating a lot of processed stuff, that could be one of the things that's either causing or making it worse, right? Then on top of that, you want to get your omega-3 fatty acids in. You want to make sure you're getting your nourishment in. So I would look at minimum, doing a hyper-nourishing, unprocessed plant-based diet. Make sure you're getting all of your hydration in. They found that even mild amounts of dehydration, studies have shown, actually decrease people's ability to have good working memory, as well as metabolism and weight loss and recovery from damage. So I would do all the aspects of hypernourishment. Anything else you do unprocessed, get some exercise in, which increases the blood flow to your brain, and see how you feel, see how that affects your memory. If you need to take medication in order to function normally in this world, I've never said not to do that, right? So there's no problem in that. But I did have a client who came to me specifically for ADHD, and by following what I was telling him to do, he was able to decrease his medication. I had another teenager who was able to go without it. But as soon as she ate junk food, then she found that she had those issues. And unfortunately, her family often ended up going back into junk food. But it does make a difference. So what my advice is always to do everything you can, and nutrition definitely plays a role in your brain function. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Vicky. I have RA. I just purchased your cookbook and Goodbye Autoimmune. I've started doing the green smoothies while I wait for the book. Do you recommend we ferment foods and raw food reps? So first of all, I'm so glad you're doing this. RA usually responds very well, very nicely. You've got the pain and often the fatigue. That's going to get better. So I'm glad you're starting with the smoothies. If you want to learn the details of the protocol, well, you can, I've released it to the public. You can find it for free. But if you like to read it, as I see you're getting books, Goodbye Lupus has more of the details of why we eat this way. Goodbye Autoimmune just has a summary of it. So if you don't need the details as to why, you just need the summary and go right into the emotional work, then that's going to be a good combo for you. I would also, that recipe book, people have told me that they're living out of it now, and I'm so happy that you all enjoy it. So that's all the good stuff. Fermented foods, that's one of those things where it's not required for recovery, but people often get away with having a small amount of it. So it's kind of been an allowance I've made. There's like the original, here's the protocol, and then there's allowances we've made over time that people often get away with. But some people can't do it, like fermented foods. Some people have, candida or other issues or histamine issues where if they eat that, they get worse, right? So it's one of those things where probably you can get away with it, but it's not necessary. So it's up to you if you want to start with it, and if you're getting better, keep it, or not use it. And then if you're getting better, try it. That's up to you. And then raw food wraps, it depends. In my book that you're getting, there's a recipe for a wrap. Generally speaking, they're probably fine, especially if you're getting all the other nutrition and hydration you need. Just be careful. Try to limit the dehydrated stuff just so you're not drying yourself out and you're not using up stomach space. The best way to do a wrap, if you're just trying to get as healthy as possible and not have any, red herring, any weird, possibility of something affecting you, just use a collard green or cabbage or lettuce. And then you've got a wrap that it doesn't have anything in it that's going to interfere with your recovery and actually will help enhance your recovery. So let us know how you do, okay? All right, let's see here. Let's go back to Facebook. All right. So Facebook. So mystery person, can I help with infertility? Thank you. So that is you didn't give me a specific diagnosis or cause, so I can just speak generally. Generally speaking, we have seen people, a lot of times actually, there's been a handful of oopsie pregnancies coming out of rapid recovery from people who thought they couldn't get pregnant because their doctor told them they couldn't, and then they did. And there was someone who posted in our Smoothie Shred group. If you're in our Smoothie Shred group, people there, most of the people there we've never met. It's a community on Facebook for people to kind of support each other in our program. We try to answer questions when we can, but a lot of it is just people supporting each other. There's thousands of people in there. But if I'm scrolling and I see a cool post about a recovery, I'll add it to the featured area. I can't keep up with all the good news, but if I see it, I add it to the featured area. And I remember one of them in the featured area was a person who's had to use medical help to induce all of her pregnancies. I believe she had 3 before, and every single time they needed to get hormonal treatments, IVF, all of that to be able to get pregnant. But on our protocol, she got pregnant naturally for the first time. So definitely we have seen that. Now, what is the reason? What is the cause? That I don't know. So I don't know. I don't have enough detail to say if the specific case you're talking about, if that's what they had. But if you're just asking in general about fertility, absolutely. I have someone recently who did rapid recovery who was unable to get pregnant, and then she got pregnant after our group, right? So that's one of the things that we have seen. And it makes sense because, again, our protocol is not specific to disease. It's specific to cellular repair. And so your body's going to decide what to do with that. And for some people, it's going to go into helping their uterus. I saw some people have written some questions here asking about endometriosis or fibroids, and we have seen people reverse those. I've seen people reverse ovarian cysts and even an ovarian tumor. A doctor who had an ovarian tumor that was not there at the end of group, and she was going to go get surgery and they just couldn't find it. So we have seen where the body goes into the hormonal part of the body, the reproductive area, and fixes that. And for other people, it's their kidneys. There's someone in our group right now who has severe breathing problems, couldn't lay flat at night. And we're in the second week. She doesn't have that problem anymore, right? So for her, it was her lungs. Her body's like, we've got to save her from her, her lungs first. So that's one thing I can't do. I'm not like that person at the airport that just kind of, direct it here, send it there. What we do know is when you give your body the right nourishment, it can use it to repair damage. And where it goes and how it does it, we just have to wait and see. But the good news is it's going to provide health benefits. There's not a downside to giving yourself good nutrition. Like I said, the only issue is when people have a type of illness that affects their ability to eat the nutrition or drink the water. But that's something that your doctor should be talking to you about. If your doctor tells you that you have water restriction or potassium restriction or something like that, then you've got to listen to them so that you make sure you stay safe, or work with me where I can, watch you and know what's going on and be able to base your nutrition recommendations off of their restrictions, right? So, all right, let's see here. Thanks, Andrew. I know that processed foods, like I said, nowadays, even the food companies that sell the processed foods, they don't even write vegan on it anymore. They write plant-based because they know that's selling. But plant-based, yes, something in there originally started as a plant, but then it was mutated and processed, and there's chemicals added to it, and it's yeah. Bessie, I love it. They're awfuler than we thought. Yes, they are. You're right, Bessie. Yep, Lady Light, the canned soup, that was one that I thought was going to really surprise people as well. All right, let's see. See another one. Oh, thank you, Facebook user, for saying you love my family. Appreciate you. Marianne wants to know, what's your opinion on phytate supplements? It's big buzz in the MS communities. I don't know because I haven't tested it. So I'm not a supplement person. My specialty is helping people optimize the nutrition their body needs to repair damage. So there's very few supplements you guys ever hear me talk about. And it's the ones that I have known because we've tested them and we've needed them, right? Like if someone's vitamin D is low, they don't get the results. We need vitamin D. The B12 is low, they can become anemic, they can have neuropathies, we need the B12, right? Iodine's low, their TSH shoots up, their hair starts falling out, we need the iodine, see what I mean? So anything that I actually refer to a supplement is because of the thousands of people I've worked with and seeing the need for it. But other than those, I haven't seen a need to get results in MS using, it's not like, oh, there's no result. Oh, someone added the supplement and they got better. So I haven't seen that. Now, will it help get better results? I don't know. I haven't had somebody working with me that I'm aware of that uses it. So it's a question mark for me. So all I can say is if you want to try it, then you can try it and then see if it helps you. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, take it out. I mean, a lot of the people who come to me in my rapid recovery programs, they've been trying everything. I mean, they want to get well, they want to get healthy. They're Googling, they're looking, and oftentimes they're taking like 20 or 30 supplements. And I'll ask, are these working for you? And they go, no, I feel like crap. So, well, they're not working for you. You're just draining your bank account on something that's not even doing anything for you. So to me, it's like, if you take it and you feel better, keep it. If you take it and you feel the same, maybe you're wasting your money, right? But that's an approach I've taken even as a doctor that, a lot of doctors will be like, oh, this didn't work. All right, keep it, but let's add this. That's still not working. Let's add this. And then people are on 12 medicines. I've never functioned that way with my patients. If I prescribe a medicine to a patient when I'm working as a medical doctor, then if it works, I keep it. If it doesn't work, then we try something else. But, that's one of those things. So you have to remember supplements are, also affecting your body. And so even though they're not federally regulated, it's not medical to talk about them or give them to people, it's still affecting your body in some way. So if it's a positive, enjoy it. If it's not doing what they said that it's going to do, maybe, consider not doing it. A lot of times people aren't prescribed them either. It's coming from things they read. And I just don't want you guys wasting your money on things that aren't helping you. Let me see here. All right. I was just about to switch over to Instagram, but I do have to answer this one because It just doesn't have to be this way. So Life Beyond the Ring says, I'm trying raw, but I make everything from scratch and it's hard the prep time. Okay, I really want you to focus on making it easier. If it's like, okay, my goal is to get well, and this is a food I need to get well, but making it this way is making it so hard and difficult, it makes me not want to do it. And that's going to take me away from getting well. Make it simple. There's no problem in making it simple. We have seen people reverse their symptoms just drinking smoothies and water, and they're symptom free, and then they add back in other foods and then they enjoy it, right? And then there's other folks who are like, oh, I want some smoothies, but maybe I also want some salad, and they buy pre-chopped cabbage or pre-cut broccoli or cauliflower, and they still get results. They buy the guacamole pre-made at the supermarket, and they eat it and they get results. I did that. So I'm just saying that the result is what matters most. And if you're making things so complicated that is holding you back from getting results, then I would consider simplifying it. Okay. You can do it with just smoothies. You can do it with pre-chopped vegetables. It doesn't have to be complicated. The other thing you can do is, so in my recipe book, in the Goodbye Lupus Hello Delicious, a lot of people have noticed that like it's pretty much the same ingredients, right? Because we're trying to get people to eat more cruciferous vegetables and high nutrient vegetables. So there's a lot of it is based off of that, right? So a lot of it you can pre-make. You can pre-make dressings that you can use all week long. You can pre-make some of the desserts, keep them in the freezer, right? So people really are happy now that they have desserts that are on plan that they can use for healing. So whatever you could, I would suggest that you make days, simplify what you can, choose the days where you do food prep. A lot of things can hold up for a couple days. So maybe 3 days a week you do food prep, or twice a week, depending on what you're doing, right? And try to make it as simple as possible so that you can maximize your time on self-care and enjoying yourself. Because the truth of it is, the happier you are, as I said before, the faster you get better. So I don't want you sitting in the kitchen. I want you out there. Like I had a single mom who did my rapid recovery group. She did amazing in it. She was feeling so good. And she said that she had never felt so free and unencumbered as she had in our program, because she used to spend so much time in the kitchen. And instead, she was just using the Instapot. Her family could eat like Instapot soups and stuff. For herself, she was just making smoothies and drinking water. And she said it was amazing because she would make 2 blenders of smoothie, put it into containers, and everywhere she went, she brought her smoothies. When her kids were at soccer practice, she'd go up and down the stairs to get her exercise. She said it was complete freedom. So whether it feels like a lot or feels like freedom, all depends on what you're focusing on. So if you like doing that work, some people love making food. I've had chefs do my program. Their food looks amazing. It's wonderful. So if you enjoy making the food and the process of cutting and chopping and making it beautiful, fantastic. If you don't, then make it easy. And in my book, I mean, they're all simple recipes. We had one person who contributed a recipe. And if you don't know already, all of the recipes in that book were contributed by people who either healed in my program or someone who wouldn't have existed without my program, my Alex, who contributed some of his recipes, or myself. So these are recipes that have healed people, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But we only had one person who was fancy, where when I was making her recipe, it said like julienne and stuff, and I had to look up how do you julienne. I'm not a chef, I don't know. But other than that, most of them are just really simple. Chop it up, blend it up, grind it up. It's super easy and fast. So yeah, look to ways to simplify it so that you can focus on what you really enjoy. And if you don't enjoy being in the kitchen and chopping, go make your food simple so you can go enjoy the stuff that's actually fun for you. That would work better. Okay. Let me go over back to Instagram. It's MECD. Are your appointments online or in office? So they're all either phone, Zoom, or FaceTime. So what you're seeing right now, but just private. Okay. Let me see. Coaching by Loco just asked me, how's your family? That is very nice. My family is doing well. My family is doing well. We are very close. We spend a lot of time together every day. We talk to each other every day. We hug each other every day. You get me emotional. My family's doing as well as we can be. But yes, we are doing well. So thank you. I got touched by that. Thank you. Okay, let me see here. Let's see here. All right, Bujo Vic BB. Hey, Dr. G, I've been on your protocol. Everything's great. I got rid of the lupus. First of all, congratulations. Like, that's not something you hear anywhere else. So I always want to take a moment to just like revel in that. I got rid of my lupus. Someone I don't know, like, yay. So sorry, yay. Now, the issue is you had a low platelet count yesterday in your blood work. So why is that? So that I don't know. If it's something that's never happened before, I recommend you ask your doctors to recheck it. We have had people come to us for thrombocytopenia, meaning that their health problem was that they had chronically low platelets, and all of them reversed it. I had a lady come to me for that issue who tried everything. She was in hyperbaric chambers. She was spending thousands of dollars on every like person she could find on YouTube, everything. Nothing worked. And her platelets went back to normal within a month, I believe, after having her appointment with me. And it's never dropped that low again. So just to reassure you, this doesn't cause low platelets. So I would actually go to your doctor and have it rechecked just to make sure. Because sometimes there's something out of the blue and it freaks people out and then they recheck it and it's fine. Sometimes people are saying it's low when it's actually still within the parameters, but it's just on the low end and they start to worry about that. When I'm like, if you're in parameters, right? Unless your doctor's telling you there's a problem, right? But if there is actually something that is measurably not where it should be, talk to your doctor about possible reasons and ask them if you can retest it, because you don't get sicker and healthier at the same time, right? If your body went through the Herculean task of kicking lupus out of your body, congratulations, that is a body that is healthier than it's ever been, right? It is giving you health. So it's not going to give you health and then get sicker somewhere else. It's not like it's patching this hole in this wall and kicking a hole over there, right? So it might be that you just need to retest it. It might not be that it's actually low enough to be considered bad by your doctor. So always check that. Sometimes I'll have my clients or patients that worry about that, and they'll be like, no, it's fine. So ask your doctor, is this something worth worrying about? Sometimes they're medication related. Medications can mess with things like people's white counts and other things. So just talk to your doctor about it, but be at least comforted and reassured by the fact that your body got rid of lupus. You are getting healthier. Let's just figure out what this next thing is, if it's something at all. Okay. But congratulations. This is why I do this. This is why I do this. This is why I spend this time. As my goal is that all of you get well without even needing me. Like that would be the best thing that's ever happened, is for my life's work and everything I've been through to mean that other people just get to live their lives and not need to hang out with white coats and not need to be sick anymore. It would be the best thing ever. So, all right, let me see. All right. Riyamra wants to know, can I use frozen broccoli or frozen green vegetables for the smoothie? No, for the smoothie, I really want you to use the fresh. I really want you to use the fresh for the smoothies, okay? Let me see. Oh, hi, Diana. It's good to see you. And I like your videos too. Think about it. I love it. I love your little online personality that you're making, trying to do good in this world. And she's a great example of someone who is able to, I've never met her. She followed what I teach online. She started out plant-based, kept getting healthier, added hypernourishment, and actually recovered from MS. And now she's trying to create a positive community of helping people think more positively. And I just think that's beautiful. I think that, when you get sick, it doesn't just affect you, but it affects your ability to give the gift that you were born to give to this world. And so when I see people not only get rid of lupus, as we just saw someone say, but actually use the gift of their health to then try to give back and add more positivity and love and health to this world, or beauty, like I've had people who've become artists or just in so many different things that they never thought they could have done without getting their health back. So congrats to you for adding more positive voices to the world. Let me see. Jenny says, can I cure eczema or dermatitis with hypernourishment diet? How long would it take to recover? Yes, I've seen a fantastic result with eczema and dermatitis. And most recently, what I have seen, I've had a lot more people with dermatitis and eczema lately, is that the skin becomes so sensitive that the only thing that I've seen work for moisturizing that hasn't triggered more dermatitis has been shea butter. Like the original stuff where it's like a block and you kind of scrape some of it off. That's actually what I use now. I stopped using everything else. Alert! I stopped using everything else. The only thing I use on my skin now is just shea butter. My husband was just joking last night that like the night light when I was reading was like shining off my face. He's like, he's like, you're shiny. And I smell nice. Shea butter is delicious smelling, you know, it's just like beautiful smell. But I found that does not irritate sensitive skin, and it's very, very hydrating. So those of us who are aging, it is nice to have something hydrating. So that's my current favorite thing. So I would use that to make sure you're not using anything that's drying or has alcohol in it that could make that worse. Oh, and see, Mia, you asked about ITP and I just answered that. So that's really good too. All right, let's see here. Right. Veronica Haminar said, we homeschool. We want our children to learn all this. That's cool. So many different things they pick up on. I'd like this written down for children to learn the basics. Any written for easy for kids? Both my kids actually read Goodbye Lupus. I didn't give it to them. I swear I did not give it to them to read. They just are, you know, they're with us in our lives. And they both at different times picked it up. One of them wrote a book report on it and I didn't even know it. I found out later. because Solomon was like, my teacher wants to know if I can give her a copy of your book because I did a book report. I didn't even know it. So both of them read it in elementary. It's written pretty simply. There's nothing salacious or bad in it. Nothing scary in it. So, you know, I guess it depends on the age of your kids. But I think you can start pretty simply, you know, like talking about that plants that are alive, that have life, that come, they get energy from the sun. And when we put those plants in our body, they give us energy. Like there's ways to teach it, you know? So yeah, but I don't have a kid's version yet. That's an interesting idea though. I should talk to Solomon. He's the one that writes children's books. So maybe that, you know what? Ooh, I might have to do that. I might have to ask him. I don't know. Right now he's in high school and he's got his AP courses. So I don't know if he's writing any books, but I think that could be a really cool thing coming from a child. How do you summarize like the way to eat for life? So, all right, you planted the seed. It's in there. It's going to grow. I think it's a very cool idea, actually. Let me see here. Oh, so the eczema question, somebody answered it. Cocoon of Healing said, I'm healing eczema. I saw progress after 2 weeks, and now I've been strict 6 months. I feel amazing, and I'm almost completely healed. So someone I don't know who's working on it on their own, and they're getting results. There we go. And Trisha, yes, beets are cruciferous. They do count, and they are heavy, right? Let's see here. All right. And then Al Hardick says, 25-year-old female with Crohn's disease since 12, so young. Colonoscopy showed a blockage. Have colon resection scheduled for May. Have always been on the SAD diet. Would your diet help? So first of all, I'm so sorry to hear that. You know, I have, gosh, I think it was from last year now. There's a video that you can see that says autoimmune disease rise and spread with the Western diet. One of the reasons that they did that study at the Frick Institute looking at autoimmune diseases and diet, what happened was they found that autoimmune diseases have been rising and spreading dramatically over the past 40 years. And one of the things they noticed is specifically Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis was never found in places like Asia and the Middle East. And now it's running rampant. And so they thought there might be some kind of genetic change going on. There were geneticists who were studying it. And what they found is the rise and spread of all the autoimmune diseases, including Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, were exactly mirroring the rise and spread of the Western diet, or the SAD diet, as you said. So the diet is the thing with this illness. Now, if she's got a blockage where they can't, it's an emergency that they have to operate on, I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope they're going to be able to reattach colon, that she's not going to end up not being able to use her colon in a normal way or need a bag. But whatever it is, you have to survive and keep living, right? But in the meantime, I so recommend doing my program. We have an extraordinary amount of success in reversing Crohn's. I actually had someone it was a young man in his 20s who did my rapid recovery with me for 4 weeks privately because he had surgery planned, and it was going to be a permanent surgery. He was going to have a bag. He was never going to be able to have a normal bowel movement ever. And his parents wanted him to work with me earlier. And when he met with me, you could tell that he was chained to the chair pretty much. And he had no interest in giving up all the fast food he loved. He said, there's no chance. So when his doctor, so I was actually surprised when a couple months later, maybe 6 months later, I forget exactly, his mom messaged me and said, we signed up for Rapid Recovery. I said, why? Your son has no interest in working with me. Do not sign up for that program. You're going to waste your money. Do not sign up for that program. He's not going to do it. I do not want you to waste your money. And she said, no. They're going to operate on him. They said that if he's not better by this date, then they're going to remove his colon. And now he's ready. I said, oh, well, if he's ready, then let's do it. And I checked with him first because I don't want people to do, those programs are expensive because of the intense amount of work and attention you get. I mean, we put our whole heart and as much time as needed into every person who does that program because we want every single day. There's no day off. It's every day. But it only works if you're actually participating, right? So it is, everyone who's done it says it was worth everything. They're so glad they did it, right? It's high intensity, high results. But if you sign up and you don't participate, then that's terrible. So we don't want that. And they said, no, he's doing it. I said, okay. So we had to start. He was in so much pain. He was bleeding every time he had a bowel movement, full of mucus. And he would scream in pain when he had to have a bowel movement. And it was like 8 times a day. He was taking painkillers. So I had to walk him through a very strict program, starting with even just juices and then with the flax oil. And I was just moderating the amounts in the water until we could get the blood to stop. And it did. And when the blood stopped, then I started having him take the smoothies in, and we got him to the point where the pain, the bleeding, all of it went away. And we were able to get him into remission and then get him back on a diet that included cooked food, and he did not need the surgery. So he was the most extreme case that I work with. Most people, the medications already are helping them, and we're just going to get them into full remission. But the calprotectin always comes down. Usually by week 4, you can see the calprotectin down, sometimes normal, sometimes just dramatically lower. The inflammatory markers, boom, come down. So whatever you can do to work towards that, do that. If she wants to work with me, I'd be thrilled to help. She might have to work with Thomas because it sounds like the time is limited, but diet is essential. And I've worked with so many people with Crohn's disease who are now in full remission and enjoying their lives again. So it's a scary, scary disease, but nutrition really does help. Now, I'm not saying not to take the medicines or get surgery if you need it. Sometimes medicines are life-saving. And if you've got a blockage, that could be life-threatening as well. So the person who's looking at you, examining you, work with them on treatment. But if you want to know how to use nutrition to help the inflammation come down and get better, that's a disease that we can do a lot to help. So many amazing questions, and all of you who come, it just means so much to me to see all of you every week and to be able to help you as much as possible. Hopefully, even if you did not get your question answered, you still learned a lot. I hope all of you take what I've taught you today. I know I went off and did some lecturing today on the stuff that's in my heart. I really want to make sure that you get this right and that you don't forget to enjoy your life in the meantime. We're all lucky just to be here. Not everyone is so lucky. So I hope you take this and you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next week. Bye, everybody.